Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So today is the last session of our series, the Ask Me Anything panel with our expert speakers, Francois, Claudia, and Erin. So if you have attended all the previous sessions, they have covered all the great things about the Agentforce flows and the data cloud. So we have collected a couple questions as we shared the form earlier. We have a few questions that were already filled in. So we will start with those questions, and then if anybody has any questions, we would have some time at the end. Please post your questions in the chat window. So we will get to those questions after we're done with the questions from the already submitted form. So I'll start with these questions, Erin. Erin, Francois, and Claudia, please add your thoughts to these questions. So this is related to the flow. What is the recommended approach to set up and manage a marketing flow for Agentforce through MCP? You want me to repeat that?
Yeah, can you repeat it again?
So I think it is through the MCP to enable it for the Agentforce. So what is the recommended approach to set up and manage a marketing flow for Agentforce? And that is
Okay.
through MCP.
Yeah, so you'll need to connect MCE through Marketing Cloud Next. You can do that. There's an assisted setup in the back end that'll help walk you through
It's
everything.
sorry, Erin, it's Marketing Cloud Personalization. Sorry to
Personalization.
interrupt you.
Oh, I think you said
MCP.
MCE.
Yeah, and now it's a bit
Um,
hard to hear.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
going to post the question as well in the chat. So since this is collected question, I see this is given posted by Shilpa. So Shilpa, if you are present in this class, in this session now, please raise your hand and I will set the unmute option. So Claudia, I have posted the question in the chat, so it is easy to follow there. So it is through MCP.
I thought it was about Model Context Protocol. All three of us had a different version of it.
Yeah, I haven't used Marketing Cloud Personalization too much. I'm not 100% sure how that would connect to Agentforce Marketing right now. I don't know if either of you guys know.
No, really.
Same, unfortunately, not having used that product.
Yeah,
And
even
there
I
are
have
brief.
I'm sorry,
Go
Francois.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I've worked on the MCP, but not on the MCP with the Agentforce and flows. I'm not sure we can do that.
Like
Okay.
would be, I'd say, well, Marketing Cloud Personalization, as much as like as we know today that from account engagement you can have the Plus license, which gives you access to Marketing Cloud Growth in Advanced. For Marketing Cloud Engagement, the Plus license gives you access to Marketing Cloud Advanced. And as I understand, it's like Marketing Cloud Personalization. If you do decide to get the Plus license, there's equivalent Salesforce Personalization, which is like the product of the, I guess, suite of Agentforce marketing products of that sort. Through that, I know that there's a web agent, for example, that can be then built through Salesforce Personalization. However, like, unfortunately, I wouldn't know the exact details if you really just want to have I'm going to call it the old Marketing Cloud Personalization connected to Agentforce marketing and how to set that up.
Yeah. I think we can move on to the next one. Shilpa, if you are present in this session, please feel free to unmute and add more context to that. Moving on to the next one, I'm posting that in the chat as well, just to make sure that it's a big one actually. So I'll read that out. Can you clarify, confirm, or correct whether my interpretation of consent tied to contact point value is correct? When
Yes,
sending
it is correct. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
There's more context to that, Francois. So when sending an email to a unified individual segment, MCG or A identifies the unified individual in the segment, retrieves the associated unified contact point, emails, etc., and then checks the communication subscription consent to verify consent for the specific contact point value before sending the email. It's a big
Yeah.
question, actually.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly how it works. When someone is injected in a flow, a unified individual is injected into a flow from inside a segment triggered flow, and it hits the send email message, then what the activity does is that it checks for every email addresses related to that specific unified individual, and this is done thanks to the specific DMO, which is generated at during identity resolution, which is called unified individual contact point email address. That is the same as the contact points of all individual. And then for all these email addresses, before sending, a check is made against the email address, which is the key inside the DMO that stores the consent. And then the email is sent if that specific email address is opt-in for that specific subscription. So yeah, I can confirm this is exactly how that works.
Yeah.
Thank you, Francois. The next question, it is related to the career suggestion. So I see this question with many of the people now, with all the new products and the new tools introduced. So for somebody who wants to switch to the marketing cloud or MarTech space, so what are your suggestions? So does someone need to keep brushing up on the existing MCE skills, or explore the MCG or MCAE or the data cloud? So many things to learn for somebody who is trying to break into the MarTech space. So what would be your suggestion on that?
Big question, I'd say. I mean, I guess for once, to me, it's also always about yourself, right? Like what keeps you up at night? What are you fancy? Like if you enjoy going into like developer skills and learning and understanding all of that, I'd say like you should like definitely also follow your heart, what interests you in life, and like knowing developer skills is not a bad decision to have, even though there might be agents coming along, but essentially like also those agents might need to be looked at and looked at if it's correct what they are giving us, and that of that sort. Like I would answer the question with two hearts beating. One heart, potentially listen to yourself. What do you want to do? What keeps you up at night? What interests you? And another one, potentially looking into like where's the world going, and like what skills are you can brush up, and maybe there is a way to combine those two, like the Marketing Cloud Next or Growth Advanced Agentforce Marketing, and the names it has, is essentially like the new product, like which account engagement and engagement are being followed by. There's no, at this stage we don't know of any timeline in terms of like when account engagement or engagement will no longer be in use. So I'd say there's still plenty of life, specifically also in engagement. But yeah, I'd say it's a hard question to answer. I would combine the two, like where's your heart in it, and also like look towards the future.
Yeah, because I still see listings for Marketing Cloud Engagement and Account Engagement Admin jobs all the time. New customers are still migrating to those platforms. Those platforms are not going anywhere. So there's still a lot of work there. So I agree with Claudia, follow your interests, because no one wants to focus on a tool that is boring or unexciting to them. So follow what you get excited about. But I would definitely learn like some basics of Data Cloud, because that is going to be ingrained in the tools no matter which one you choose. And more companies are going to start using that as part of their tech stack.
Francois, I have a question for you. You are on the consulting side. So how do you see the number of opportunities for the MCE versus MCE Next or the Agentforce?
It's very very hard to give numbers to these questions. And those are two different things because Agentforce is an overall tool that can operate with the entire data, while a Marketing Cloud engagement is an automation tools and a marketing tool. So Agentforce is not the same scope as Marketing Cloud engagement. So I would say comparing the two just depends on whether you want to work with marketing teams or whether you want to work with the CRM admin or the overall architects for an instance. So I cannot answer directly to this question because those are two distinct things.
That helps. So I'm moving on to the next question. How can we get the brand specific templates during the prompt for campaign generation?
A good one. As of I'm assuming that's a question towards the campaign creation agent we had in the last session. So what I found, where the out of the box, I mean, there's those out of the box actions I showed you in the session this week, which the agent has today, but that's just essentially what's been delivered out of the box, but it doesn't mean that it stops there. So I got to the point where you can actually, when you are setting, when you're creating a brand in Marketing Cloud Next and essentially setting that as a default brand in your CMS, and you're doing the same, for example, as a header image, like when a flow is being created with a Salesforce template, there's a header image, a default header image generated and a default logo get generated. And you can actually replace that with, for example, a header image from your main template, let's call it, and you can replace the logo with your logo. And if you do that, then the campaign creation agent, as it stands today, would create an email and it would put your logo and the header image into the emails it's been generating. However, you could look into, for example, if you are creating an email template, which is like your master email template you want to use for different comms, you can probably enhance the instructions and actions as they stand today out of the box to actually then get the full master template you want the agent to use in the flow.
Thanks, Claudia. And is there a way to create multiple languages for a specific landing page in the CNext?
I think CMS is supposed to have at some point in the future some translation possibilities, but I reckon this is not available yet. So in the future, you'll create a landing page with a given layout, some text, and you will be able to apply translation to it so that the correct landing page displays depending on the language of the navigator. But this is so far I'm not 100% about this, but so far I believe that this is not available in the CMS yet.
Yeah, I know it's on the roadmap, but I don't have a ETA recorded, so I don't know.
That makes sense. So for somebody who is not a developer, is there a way to use the natural language and give prompts to create the flow skeleton?
To create the what?
The flow, specifically the nurture sequence flow.
Yeah, you can use the Agentforce campaign creation topic that Claudia showed to help it create you a campaign, and it'll create a flow too. And it has a new campaign refinement topic, so you can say, switch out the first email with an SMS or extend the wait times, and it'll help refine the flow. It doesn't create flows with decision split, so you can't say, wait for 3 days and see if they click the email and build at that granular level, at least not yet. I feel like that's something Salesforce is working towards, but it'll help build a straight down flow, and then you can go and fine tune decisions and your start times and your exit rules and all of that.
Thank you. And is there a way to send an email via API to a guest user?
Well, sorry.
I'm reading out the full question, Francois. If you have already read it,
Sure,
please.
sure.
So they tried with the on-demand flow, but it requires the contact to be within the data graph. The use case is to send an order confirmation or any OTP to unregistered users who are not in the data model yet.
Well, it happens that when you are calling a specific type of flow, an on-demand flow, you are passing through the API call, the individual ID and the email address that you want the email to be sent to. And in my testing, I don't know if that is documented, but in previous testing that we made, the email is actually sent to the email you are passing through the API call, not necessarily the email that is tied to the individual you pass as the argument. So I would say this needs to be tested, but maybe you can actually do this.
Okay. And the next question, looking at the various methods for updating consents. Oh, go ahead. Okay, I think I can continue. While looking at the various methods for updating consents, that also include updating the next cache, in the flow, the create consent action is present, and in others it is not. In some, there is an aggregate crude request consent, which appears to be a subflow action again. So can you tell why it is so and what's the difference between those?
I can handle that one, unless you want to do it, Claudia or Aaron.
You can take it, Francois, and they can add their thoughts to that.
Well, in record triggered flow, in the past, record triggered flow were used to add the consent to via an action which is called messaging consent or something like that, and there was a V1 and a V2 version. This has worked since the beginning, and I do believe it still works, but a concern has been raised by Salesforce that this method wouldn't correctly handle the cache related to the consent, because the cache is actually the source of truth. So the recommendation from Salesforce is to use the create consent activity either in data cloud record triggered flow or inside an automation event triggered flow. In that latter case, you need to, this does not work if you select the new event when something happens in the CRM, when a lead or a contact is created. That needs to be another type of event. So the global recommendation is to use the create consent activity inside the data cloud triggered flow or inside an automation event triggered flow, like for instance, a form triggered flow. And if you don't have access directly to this, you can simulate this. For instance, you could create a custom object inside Salesforce, create a DSO, DLO associated with it, create a data model object so that whenever you write from Salesforce inside that object, you can trigger the data cloud triggered flow. And from this data cloud triggered flow, depending on the information you added in the custom object, you can trigger, add or remove the consent that you want. So basically, you should stick, this is a recommendation, to using create consent inside either an automation event triggered flow or inside data cloud record triggered flow.
Thank you, Francois. So on the MCE, we have the lookup function to retrieve data from the data extension. Similar to that, is there anything on the MCE next to manage translations within an email that doesn't involve creating 10 translations for each component or 100 lines of handlebars? Is there any streamlined way to manage that?
I mean, dynamic content, but you would still have to put in the different variations for the language. I'm trying to think if there's any better way to do it.
I am moving on to the next one. How real time are the event-based flows? do cloud triggered data flows start immediately after a data logger is updated, or CRM connected automation events also real time? There are multiple questions in that. I posted that in the chat as well for the reference. So I'll take the first one. So how real time or event based flows?
I think the guidance is the delay can be anywhere from like 2 to 5 minutes after the activity happens.
And do cloud triggered data flows start immediately after a data logger is updated?
I'm gonna leave that one for Francois. I believe so, but I feel like you're going to have more context.
Yeah, I don't know what a data logger is.
I took that as just like after the data cloud triggered data flow start immediately after the activity is logged into data cloud. That's how I took
Oh,
it.
okay. Well, once the data is ingested into data cloud, I'd say the data cloud triggered flow is quite almost immediate. I'd say a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
And our CRM connected automation events, are they also real time?
I haven't played
Yeah.
around with those yet. I would assume that they're going to have like the 2 to 5 minute delay.
Okay.
Yeah, those just came out in spring, so they're very new.
Okay. So the next question, how can I test a flow that retrieves information that also has its own email that has optimizations based on that data?
So when you go to debug a flow, that's what Flow calls testing. You can select your test record. There's a little window, so you can select the test record, and that tells it the record you want to use for the test emails and going through the paths. So if you have anything that's using like data graph merge fields, dynamic content, repeaters, anything like that, it's going to customize those sections to the test record that you select up there.
Thank you. The next question, is it possible to add information to a segment campaign? For example, if I create a segment of contacts who have purchased a Nike product, is it possible to add the product to the flow to personalize the path and the email?
Well, inside the flow, you have access to the data graph, and you can also use get records to get the information related to the current interview. So yeah, definitely you can access this information and then pass it to the email, depending on which type of email you're using or which type of personalization you're using. Can pass this using an Apex class or using the data graph. So yeah, definitely you have access to the entire data model from inside the flow.
That helps. So there's a big question I posted in the chat. I think this is related to the BU on the data spaces. So in my SDO, I have created a second business unit in MC Next and a second data space, and it seemed to spoil my segment refreshes. Although the contact has been updated, the segment has still the wrong name and details of the contact. I have reran identity resolution as well. So I'm wondering what is supported by multiple BUs and how to switch between them. How to recognize which contact is related to which BU? How can it be possible to see only data related to one BU and not another BU? I will take a pause here.
Yeah, I know for business units, you can designate which data goes into each data space that's connected to the business unit. So they're each going to have their own data space with their own data. So you're not going to be able to pull someone from both data spaces and pull them into the segment, which it seems like that may be your issue there. And so the segments will also be unique to the business unit. You're not going to be able to pull a segment and then use it in both business units. So when you create a campaign, you select which business unit that belongs to, and then it's tied to that business unit. And then its assets, its segment, all of that is tied to that business unit.
Thank you. So the next question is related to the web tracking, I believe. So there's an option for web tracking uh, to see which user has visited the landing page or clicked on a link. Similarly, is there a way or an option to track landing pages on a general level? Example, click rate, number of visits, desktop or the mobile views, or the source of visit?
Well, everything that's related to external or internal landing pages is stored into a data model object, which is called website engagement, in which you will find all the information you need, the page view, the name of the page, the device that was used to access the page. So from this, you can actually create the report you want, because the data at the most possible granular level is already there.
That's great. I'm moving on to the questions from the chat that are posted by the attendees in the current session. So Nick has posted this. Nick, please let us know if you want to unmute and add more context to that. I'm reading this question. And Claudia, thank you for answering the questions in the chat. If you have any other comments to add also, please, you can answer these again with more context. So the question for MCE Plus, is there a recommendation for managing co-sent? I'm not sure if I understand that correctly or not. Is there a recommendation for managing co-sent given MCE manages? Oh, I think it's consent, sorry. Is there a recommendation for managing consent given MCE manages consent at the subscriber level and not at the channel level that MCN allows?
I do know consent alignment between MCE and MCN is coming out in the summer release, so like an official consent alignment. I know we can pull in the MCE subscriber key into Marketing Cloud Next now, so I believe that would allow you to view consent. My background's in AE, so Prince Art, Claudia, if you guys have tips on consent, please jump in.
I have the same level of information as yours. Yeah. So far, you could export the consent for by whatever means you want and re-import it inside Marketing Cloud Next. And as Erin was saying, like we do already have it for Marketing Cloud account engagement, and something similar is coming for Marketing Cloud engagement, but I don't know exactly when.
I think the question more is that you are limited to managing consent in Marketing Cloud engagement at the subscriber key level. So if somebody has two email addresses, for example, if they opt out of one, they're opted out of both. Where Marketing Cloud Next, you can configure the data model to allow for the multiple emails. So if they opt out of one, you can still email the next. The other one, but only within Marketing Cloud Next. Has there been any point of view, or is this what's coming out in the summer release on how to handle for that?
Well, it's not related to it may be related to the subscriber key, but technically Marketing Cloud Next consent uses the email address as the key. And I reckon this is not going to change.
Does that help, Nick?
Yes, I'm aware of that, but like when the packages that we have are like MC Plus, so you have MCE plus MC Next, and the requests are essentially to email to as many emails as we can, and we're just limited on Marketing Cloud engagement. So you can allow the multiple emails in Marketing Cloud Next, but not in MCE unless you're going to resubscribe somebody that's unsubscribed if they have multiple emails and one of them is opted in. So just wanted to see if there was anything on how people are handling that.
Yeah, I think the most straightforward way to handle it right now is if you're kind of doing your convergence journey. Marketing Cloud Next flows can do journey decisioning or now send an MCE email from a flow. So what I would do is have flows kind of be your decision engine and trigger those sends, but have those sends still come from MCE until the summer release when consent alignment is here. And then we can start aligning the consent between the two systems, and you could send from either system while making sure you're not breaking any subscription or spam rules.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is about the flow, triggered flow. I think it's more about the troubleshooting. If we can answer it in the session, please take a jab at it. If not, we can answer that on the Slack channel with more context. So this is by Magdalena. What steps would you recommend to troubleshoot the automation event triggered flow, which does not deliver an email with Apex class data provider data source? So during config, I followed the steps listed in the TAM blog article. Flow is triggered on order creation successfully, but email message element on the flow canvas is initially in retrying and later in error status.
Can be multiple causes about this. In the first session where I spoke a little bit about that, and in the article that is referred, the main issue we'll have is to set the Apex class and to get the information from the and to get the information inside the flow and to assign it. But apart from that, I did not encounter specific issues, so I cannot tell you what issues could be.
Or Magdalena, you can add more context or more details on the Slack channel, so we can review in detail after.
Sure. Thank you.
Next question, can Marketing Cloud Next be enabled in Companion org, that is Data Cloud 1? Are there any technical limitations comparing with Marketing Cloud Next in Home org?
It can be enabled in a companion org. Didn't that come out in the winter release or maybe last summer? I'm not aware of any technical limitations with the companion org.
Okay. So can you share some details about the Agentforce credits consumption?
Frankly, no. Well, this is the too broad. Well, the only thing that we can share is that this is very hard to anticipate how many credits a given operation will actually consume. So what's best is to have a frequent look at your consumption cards and try to understand how it works by yourself. There is no workaround around this. So, and especially not orally or in 1 minute, because there are multiple ways of consuming credits, profiles based are coming. So yeah, no, it's impossible to answer such a question in a small amount of time. I'm sorry.
Agree.
I believe there is an option to that you can build flows, which sends you notifications on where your credit consumption is at, if that might help. So rather than you having to check the digital wallet all the time, you could put in some information saying you want to be notified when the credit goes here or there.
Thanks, Claudia. And there's a question about the feature or capability comparison between the different products, SFMC or MCE or the MCN. So from the top of my head, I can recollect Matthias posted an article comparing the different products and the features. We can link that in the Slack channel later. And Francois, Erin, and Claudia, if you have anything else that you can refer to, please share. Any documentation with the feature capability comparison between MCE and MCN?
We have one from MCAE, but not for MCE on the TAM website.
Okay, we can link those. I think this is by Jayshit. We can link those in the Slack channel after the session. The next question, MC Next is future for all marketing like B2B and B2C. So that's a question. So is MC Next going to be the future for all marketing? If yes, will it replace MCE and in the long run, not immediate? Also currently, how MC Next will handle data like MCE has its own database?
So I think Marketing Cloud Next is definitely where Salesforce is heading with marketing. It will definitely work for B2B and B2C, especially in the B2C realm. I know a lot of triggers and automations for the retail industry are being added right now, and then health and finance is coming shortly behind. So I think that's definitely where Salesforce's focus is and where they're headed. I don't think Marketing Cloud Engagement, Marketing Cloud Account Engagement are going anywhere anytime soon. So if those platforms work for you or a better fit for you, it's not like you have to move to Next. And I already forgot the second part of the question.
I will read that again.
The data, how the data is being handled between SFMC and MC. Because it says an own database, Marketing Cloud Engagement has its own database, how the data will be handled then.
Yeah.
Well, with MCE Plus, you ingest the data from Marketing Cloud Engagement into Data Cloud that can be used into Marketing Cloud Next. So I think there is a convergence that is starting that you can already use to get the information and the data from Marketing Cloud Engagement into Marketing Cloud Next.
Awesome. The next question is about transitioning from MCE into personalization and Agentforce. I think they mean MC Next and use the capabilities of MCP and Agentforce. So what would you recommend for an enterprise client transitioning off of SFMC legacy into more personalization and Agentforce? Would you recommend adding Data 360 for the data ad audiences to ensure nothing is lost with Advertising Studio depreciation in August? Can you advise on prepping clients for SFMC depreciation in Ad Studio?
Yeah, ad audience in Data Cloud is the way. And so you should actually not transition from MC to MC Next, but at least you should have some Data Cloud and take the data from Marketing Cloud Engagement inside Data Cloud, and then create segments and push those segments on Meta ads or LinkedIn ads or whatever platform is connected to your Data Cloud instance. So yeah, definitely you need to investigate Data Cloud ads and Data Cloud audiences for this.
Thanks, Francois. And this is about the Anybody wants to add anything? Okay, I think we can move on. This is about the lead source tracking. So what functionality needs to be configured in Marketing Cloud Next to support lead source tracking? I know that adding web tracking is one of the key steps. What other functionality is recommended?
UTMs.
There's an add-on question to that. How can lead source tracking be viewed? I know Data Cloud can provide a lot of touch points, but is there any Marketing Cloud Next recommended reporting or summaries of this information?
It depends on what you want to report on. But basically, the UTM will give you the whole information of where the traffic comes from on your website. And those are out of the box stored inside the website engagement DMO. And from that raw data, you can use it for whatever you want. You could extract, for instance, the first touch and display it as a field on the lead or the contact object. There are many, many, many ways of doing this. And the first touch and the last touch are also used by the influence data model directly inside, which is out of the box directly inside Marketing Cloud Next. So yeah, there are a lot of things to track the lead source, and more than the lead source, the individual source, and then to display it or to use it in a given score or a calculated insight of yours.
Yeah, and even though Marketing Cloud Next Opportunity Influence doesn't rely as heavily on campaign members as campaign influence, I still like adding everyone into the campaigns that they've been involved with the assets they've touched, so I can kind of see, where they started, their touches over time, their last touch, all of that. So it gives you more data to report on depending on what exactly you're trying to look at.
That helps. So can we create a custom preference page in MCN to include SMS and email on a single page? If so, can we use a agent to create the custom preference page?
Yes and no. Custom preference center is coming. It was announced in the spring 26 release notes, but it was actually postponed, and so it's not delivered yet. But it is definitely coming. I don't exactly know when, and they include every channel you want: SMS, WhatsApp, or email, of course. I'm not sure you can use Agentforce and Content Builder inside Content Builder for this. But basically, I don't know what type of custom preferences you're trying to build, but it's just about displaying the types of subscription you want your user to opt in or opt out. So maybe there's no need for something too fancy there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I think you already covered these in the session. Any equivalent of Cloud Page, MCE Cloud Page on MCN?
There are landing pages. What's the question?
So I think that is it. The equivalent of the Cloud Page, what it is on the MCN.
Yeah, it's landing pages.
So as we implement these products with customers, this is by Donna. Donna, if you add any more context to this, please feel free to come in. So how do you explain the access and permissions that need to be given to marketing users?
So there's a couple permissions. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I'm often working with marketers who don't even have a seat in CRM. Are there any resources available that explain this to the CRM admin?
There are a couple resources out there. I can probably grab it after this question, but there's a couple of out-of-the-box permission sets, depending on what your users need. So the two main ones are Marketing Cloud Admin and Marketing Cloud Manager. So that will give them access to Marketing Cloud Next features and Marketing Cloud Next flows. And then there's additional permission sets if they need to do stuff in Data Cloud. There's additional permission sets if they need to see marketing performance reporting. So everything's handled with permission sets. You can also create, your own permission set if you have an admin who, wants to have more granular control. And as far as CRM licensing goes, you can also create identity license to users with access to Marketing Cloud Next. So you don't have to have the full Salesforce license. Identity licenses does limit your functionality a little bit, but with adding permission sets to that profile, you should be good to use Marketing Cloud Next. I'll see if I can find the help article.
Super helpful. And then is the Marketing Cloud Admin, and we're talking about the same one that, we put in place when we do the connector? Like, is there separate Marketing Cloud Admin permission set, or is it that one?
Yeah, Marketing Cloud Admin, it would be separate from any that exist in there for like account engagement or engagement.
Oh, okay. I just know we put two in place when we do the connector to Marketing Cloud Engagement to CRM, and then sounds like they're called the same, but they may be a little different. I'll look into that. Thank you very much. Very helpful.
Yeah, here's the Salesforce help article, which if you scroll like more down to the bottom, it lists all of the permissions, especially with Flow, because I find a lot of Salesforce admin get nervous about the Flow permissions. So if they don't like, what's included with the out-of-the-box permission sets, you can create your own permission set and then select which Flow activities you do and do not want the users to have permissions to.
Awesome.
Answering the next question, when migrating from account engagement to MCN and verifying the email domain, you need to pause all current account engagement email sendings or campaigns. So I think that's a question. I'll read that again. When migrating from account engagement to MCN and verifying the email domain, you need to pause all current account engagement email sendings and campaigns. When MCN email domain setup is done, can we activate the account engagement campaigns or engagement programs again, and no changes are needed in the account engagement? And
Well, sorry.
how about if the domain is different in AE and MCN?
Well, when you try, in some instances, when you try to activate an authenticated domain, you get a warning stated that you should stop your campaigns. But this is not referring to the campaign used in Marketing Cloud account engagement. This is an overall warning. So you can safely ignore it and then transfer your sending email. I reckon this is based on instances that once were on Pro or Starter Starter. And when you switch, when you activate the sending domain in Sound Marketing Cloud Next, you need to migrate from the org-wise domain that is used by those specific instances, and then create a new one, and you need to create some DNS records. But you don't need to stop your campaigns inside Marketing Cloud account engagement, which will still send the emails during this migration. And once the sending domain is activated into Marketing Cloud Next, you can use both. They don't overlap.
Thanks, Francois. So the next question, this is a migration from MCE to MCN. For organizations running active journey builder journeys in Marketing Cloud engagement, alongside building new flows in MCN, what's the recommended transition strategy? Is there a point where you would recommend a hard cutover versus running both in parallel? And how do you handle consent and engagement history continuity during that period?
So I wouldn't cut over or do any kind of like hard cutovers until that consent alignment is there. I would continue, like if you have journeys built in MCE and you like them and they're working for you, let them continue running in MCE. I would try to build anything net new in MCN if that's the goal to move over. You could also take an established use case from MCE and build it in MCN just to see how it's different, how you can optimize it, maybe how you can fine tune it. But there's not really any need to do a hard cutover at this point. And then there was a question about consent, alignments coming in summer, and then engagement history. There are new unified engagement history dashboards that came out with the last release that will unify engagement from all of the systems as long as they're connected to Data Cloud and Marketing Cloud Next. So you can see that engagement in those new dashboards.
Yeah, I also would add, exactly what Erin said. And there's a few things which have been pointed out, which are actually like new features and benefits for Marketing Cloud engagement customers with Plus licenses, such as you can, for example, connect your journeys with Marketing Cloud Next campaigns and essentially then get reporting out of the box. Or like you can connect your journeys with Flow and essentially get a richer orchestration of your journeys. There's also that journey decisioning agent, which helps you essentially like based on flows in what kind of like Marketing Cloud engagement journey that record could go next. So these are like, or for example, if you are wanting to explore omni-channel and at this stage with Marketing Cloud engagement, you might only have email and you would love to maybe try out SMS or WhatsApp as a use case, that might be a use case for Marketing Cloud Next, because the omni-channel is easier to enable on that side and build that use case out there. So yeah, as Erin said, I also wouldn't worry at this stage to make a hard cut and to move everything over, but rather look at what are the benefits of the new tool, what engagement might not be able to give you, and then find ways to explore with that.
Thanks, Claudia. The next question is again on the migration from MCE to MCN. So for somebody who is using MCE, if we move to MCN with respect to pricing, what would be the upward variation? As the license includes Data Cloud also, will it be much costlier, like more than 30% to 40% increase? So Earlier with MCE, it is just Salesforce CRM plus MCE versus with the new migration, CRM plus Data Cloud plus MCN. What would be the price variation? Any thoughts on this? I know it is more related to the pricing.
Well,
Yeah,
since
this
Marketing
is
Cloud, oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say Marketing Cloud Next and Data Cloud is consumption based. So the price is going to be on how much you use it. You know, how many emails you send out, how much you're doing identity resolution, harmonization, all of that. There is new profile pricing for Data Cloud. So if you don't like the straight consumption-based modeling, you can look at profiles and pay on a profile basis. That's very new, so I don't have too much information on that, but it's not really like a straight answer. It costs, A versus B.
Yeah, and to add to the mix, when you are an existing Marketing Cloud Engagement user and it is your renewal time, you can switch to Marketing Cloud Engagement Plus, which gives you credits and access to Marketing Cloud Next, which is called Convergence. So I guess this is something which needs to be worked out with an account executive because it depends. Whatever is related to pricing, Data Cloud, Marketing Cloud Next is best is best to work with your direct account executive, I reckon.
Thanks, Erin. Thanks, Francois. The next question. Marketing performance uses Data Cloud credits. Therefore, wanting to understand if there is any out-of-the-box reporting available, or does marketing performance need to be installed for any reporting? This is by Ketan. Ketan, if you want to add any more context to this, please unmute. Sorry. So I will read the question again. I understand marketing performance uses Data Cloud credits. Therefore, wanting to understand if there is any out-of-the-box reporting available, or does marketing performance need to be installed for any reporting?
Yeah, so it's just to understand if there's any out-of-the-box reporting that comes with Marketing Cloud Advanced. Looking through the implementation guide, it looks like you have to install Marketing Performance to get any sort of reporting. So I'm just trying to clarify, like, is that the case to get reporting? You need to install Marketing Cloud Performance, Marketing Performance, or is there
Yeah.
anything that doesn't use credits for reporting?
I don't think there's anything that wouldn't use credits because it's got to query all that data from Data Cloud to kind of put it in a consumable view. So marketing performance is included out of the box, and that'll include flow analytics performance, your conversion dashboards, your deliverability reporting. I'm not sure if there's anything that doesn't use credits.
Okay, that's what I thought from everything I read. That's what I thought, but I thought it'd be nice to ask. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question, can we get Marketing Cloud Next demo orgs with any partner orgs? I think SDO, is it available for the Marketing Cloud Next?
Yeah, and from Partner Learning Camp, you can access the standard SDO and there's Marketing Cloud Next inside it if you are a partner.
Looking at the next unanswered question.
So-
Thanks, Claudia, for answering the questions in the chat. Okay, the next question. Is there a way to add information from the data layer of an external website to the website engagement data stream or DMO?
What kind of data do you want to ingest? Engagement data or information about the pages and the structure of the website? Both can be ingested, actually.
I would be interested in both. But
Well, the first one, the engagement data, is ingested into Data Cloud thanks to a connector. You create a connector for your external website, and then you add the tracking code on your website. Then you get the data from engagement data, and you can also, for instance, if you're using WordPress, there are plugins that can get information from your actual website into Data Cloud, like the list of pages or the list of articles. So both can be just ingested, yes.
So do I just reinstall the connector in Salesforce, or how do I create a new fields?
In Marketing Cloud Next, there is a dedicated section to create connector. And once the connector is created, you take the JavaScript code and put it on your website, and then you have the tracking coming from that website into Data Cloud, into the data streams associated with the connector.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Francois. The next question. If sending email via a segment which contains unified individuals and the unified individual has different contact point emails assigned, which one would be used for sending? Is it
Everyone.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just a little more context to that. Is it used based on the criteria you are setting in the reconciliation rules?
No. No. Reconciliation rules do not operate on the email, on the contact point email addresses that are associated to the individual. Every contact point email, every email addresses that the individual embeds, that the unified individual embeds, will be added to the unified individual. But there is a new feature which is called activation template, in which you can create rules to just send to only one email address, and you define, for instance, based on the source, you prefer to use the email address from a contact instead of the one from a lead. So by default, it is sent to every email addresses, and the reconciliation will do not operate on the email, they just operate on the individual. This may be misleading, and I understand this, but really this is how it works. Every email address is bound to your individual, will be bound to the unified individual, and this is what the send email address will use, except if you add you create an activation template and use it. In that case, the flow will be changed in a specific mode in which only one email address will be used, and you define the rule and how to select that specific email address.
Thanks, Francois. So the next question is by Rochak. Can we conditionally send multiple emails to same email ID or ensure only one email is sent to multiple email IDs?
Can we conditionally send multiple emails to the same email ID or ensure only one email is sent to multiple email IDs? What's an email ID there? Is it the ID of the email that is sent, or is it the email address?
Rochak, please unmute yourself if you want to add anything to that.
Hi, team. First of all, thank you very much for these sessions. So the question is with respect to a scenario wherein, say, suppose a prospect gets qualified for multiple sends. For example, say, suppose if I am owning multiple cars and I would like, the objective is to send message to the car owners depending upon the number of vehicles that he has. So in that case, if I'm qualifying 3 times, ideally I should be receiving emails 3 times. And there can be a scenario wherein the company says, no, we would like to send communication only once. So do we have the capability to control the sends? Like we have the MC capability in Pardot or maybe in Marketing Cloud, by choosing the contact ID, we can do that.
Yes, I think activation templates were exactly introduced for this. You can filter, that is, you will select only matching emails in the context related to the unified individual, and you can also create rules and prioritize which email address you want to use. So definitely this is something you should investigate, as I do believe this is the way Marketing Cloud Next will actually handle this type of use cases.
So in short, say suppose if we would want to send multiple emails to an individual, we can do that in one particular campaign.
Yeah, sure, you can.
All right.
Thank you. And there is another question. Do we have something similar to inbound chat sessions for WhatsApp communication, like in the Journey Builder?
Can you say that again?
Do we have something similar to inbound chat sessions for WhatsApp communications, like in the Journey Builder, or something similar in the MC Next?
think so. I'd have to check unless Claudia or Francois, you know off the top of your head.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of the functionality in the first place. What is that functionality like inbound WhatsApp?
So, Claudia, this is a functionality wherein we can create a journey for inbound chat messages, wherein we can offer close-ended questions and replies to the customer. So it can act as an FAQ center for the customers. So that is
So
something
it's
which is
not,
available out of box in Journey Builder. The question is whether we can replicate the same using flows inside Marketing Cloud Next.
but the messages, the WhatsApp messages would be pre-configured. It's like so it's not like built based on artificial intelligence, but actually pre-configured messaging like a bot.
Correct.
I'm not sure. I mean, there's two-way messaging available for SMS and WhatsApp in Marketing Cloud Next, but that's essentially done via like artificial intelligence that you can feed an agent with information like your files or your FAQs and stuff, and then the agent can respond to questions to someone. But I'm not sure about like a pre-configured bot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I haven't worked with inbound messages on WhatsApp either, but I did just find a Salesforce help article that says configure how to handle incoming WhatsApp messages, and it says growth in advance there. So I put that in chat.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are on over an hour now. Francois, Claudia, and Erin, please let me know if you have any hard stop. We have a few more questions in the chat, so let me know if you need to drop. And thank you, Gilda. Gilda is now currently traveling, but then she always finds time to make sure to attend the sessions. Thank you very much. And also, as we mentioned in our sessions, we do have swag, 6 certification vouchers and 6 swag items for the US residents. I will be sharing that form link in the chat shortly. So please fill in your details in that form and we will pick the winners from those filled in submissions.
Yeah.
So we'll take a few more questions. Can an existing consent banner, say from OneTrust, that you use on your website be added to a landing page built in MC Advanced?
That needs to be tried out because you can add header scripts. So I did personally, I did not do it, but maybe you should be able to do this. Yeah. Definitely, OneTrust can be used to as the Marketing Cloud Next consent. They work very well and very easily together. And as it pertains to displaying the consent from OneTrust inside the native landing pages, I think the way is either to use at the digital experience website, the underlying website, to add the tracking code there or the external code there for displaying the banner, or to add it on a landing page per landing page basis directly in the headers. It needs to be tried.
Awesome. And regarding MCN and MCE connector, MCE connector is supposed to pull information, but in the documentation it says this can take up to 24 or 48 hours. Is there a recommendation on how to move data between platforms?
I'm not sure this is a question for us because you just need to use the actual connector and then deal with the limits of the specific connector. If you want the two systems to sync faster, I can't think of any way of doing this unless we're writing your own connector.
Thank you. And how about the reporting and dashboards in MCN? And also, just like the way we have data views in MCE, how does tracking be logged in the MCN?
Can you repeat the question?
So how does MC Next handle reporting and dashboards? Does it have any standard tracking objects like data views in SFMC?
Not 100% familiar with data views in MCE, but the reporting and dashboards are all powered by Tableau and analytics. So you'll have some analytics data kits that you'll install as part of the implementation. And then you have the marketing performance and flow analytics performance apps that you'll install. So it does have pre-configured like dashboards and views. You can see those on the campaign level, as well as like a holistic level on your marketing performance tab.
You can also, I think that's from CRMA, but essentially when you go on a DMO and Data Cloud, yes, there's actually like a button on the top which says Explore Analytics. And as you open that, it opens like a data lens and you can like build your own little dashboards from that.
Thanks, Claudia. And the next question is about the dynamic content in MCN. I think you already answered this before, but if you want to add more details to this, I'm reading the question again. How do you handle dynamic content in MCN? So the one which is in MCE, if we are migrating it to MCN, how do we handle that?
So there's no way to...
Sorry,
Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go.
Well, this is called variation in the email builder. That is, you have, for instance, a specific content block or paragraph or whatever, or even the subject line. And then you create different variation based on personalization point. And depending on the actual recipient, then what you've set up for the specific variation related to that customer will be displayed inside the email. So this is around what is called variation. So what was the question about that?
So this is by Tanvi. If you want to add more details to that, please unmute and share. So it is about how do you handle dynamic content in MCN? That is it.
Yes. So
Yeah.
basically, what happens in MCE is that suppose there's a locale where you just specify the value of a locale and then you create content blocks in MCE, and based on that, you can understand it's more of an inbuilt if-else condition. If the particular value is this, display a locale content. Like for Switzerland, it would be in Swiss. So similarly, is there any out-of-the-box function or feature in MC Next?
Well, it's not directly out of the box, but you can create variation depending on the country field, for instance, inside the data graph. You can create variations on whatever is inside the data graph. So if you rely on the country field, for instance, or the normalized country field, then you can create different variations depending on the actual country of the recipient.
So variation, is there is it a, how do you say, is it a feature creation of?
Yeah, sure. Whenever you are in the email builder and you have a specific subject line, a specific content, a subject line, for instance, or a paragraph or an image, there is this create variation that you can use, and you can reuse personalization point that you created outside this email or inside this email, so that everything is controlled by the specific set of conditions that you've input.
All right,
So
thank
yeah,
you.
definitely out of the box that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Francois. And I see a lot of questions answered by Erin and Claudia. We have a question by Jennifer. We have multi-org MCE. The org connected to the parent business unit does not have Data 360. However, one of the child business units is connected to an org that have Data 360. Is there any concern to begin using Data 360 that would connect with the child business unit before we have Data 360 with the parent business unit?
think I would need like an image of the setup to understand.
Yeah, I was just thinking, well, I mean, technically speaking, there would be one data 360 unit, right? Like it's one data 360 unit per Marketing Cloud Next, if that's the ultimate question, like using the data for Marketing Cloud Next. Jennifer, are you still here? Could you unmute yourself and maybe explain a bit more where you want to go with this?
Yeah, so our child business unit, like I said, they have their separate org with Data 360. So I know eventually they're going to want to use that with Marketing Cloud engagement, but we don't have anything like that implemented with the parent business unit. So I just kind of wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing something or wasn't going to have them plan for something that was going to ultimately affect the parent business unit.
Are
So
you
if
just
it, oh, go ahead.
No, I was
No,
just
go ahead.
wondering, is this about just using Data 360 with Marketing Cloud engagement only? Or is this
Yes.
ultimately using it for Marketing Cloud Next?
Right now, it would be Marketing Cloud engagement only. We've not updated our contract for Marketing Cloud Next.
I think it's a bit difficult to answer. I'd like to give you advice because I guess there's a few moving parts to that, because you would have like, you usually would have like one Data 360 ultimately, which you connect to one Marketing Cloud Next. If that's, the ultimate place, you would only want to have one Data 360. And then I guess it depends like what's the structure between your parent business unit and your child business unit for Marketing Cloud engagement, and what kind of data you have in each. To then feed data cloud with it.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I feel like that's comes down to like your ultimate long-term strategy and use cases to give you answers around that. That's how I feel. I don't know, maybe Erin, Francois, maybe you have other advice, but it's difficult.
Well, I think this requires some design work there. It's not the type of question that we can answer during a 3-minute answer. So maybe we would need days to understand the question and then to bring a correct answer. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Jennifer.
And for the preference center that is hosted outside of MCN, what is the best way to fetch, retrieve, and display the subscribers' latest subscription status from MC Next?
Well, it depends if you want to make it, if you want the two systems to be in sync, or if you want to import a consent from an external system into Marketing Cloud Next. If it is the latter that you want to do, then you just need to export the consent and re-import it. There is an import feature inside Marketing Cloud Next. If you want them to be kept in sync, then you would need to establish an ingestion from the data from the external system into Data Cloud, and I'd advise against mapping that new DMO to the DSO, sorry, to the consent, the existing consent DMO, because of the cache issues that we've already talked about. But then you would create a data model object that would trigger a Data Cloud triggered flow, and that would use the consent activity to create consent activity. So, and you could also do the opposite. Maybe you could use MuleSoft to do this, but you could keep the two systems in sync. So really, it depends on if you want a sync consent system or just a one-time import from one side or to the other side. There are multiple ways of doing this, but those are the ingredients.
Thank you, Francois. Is it possible to use an own email server to send out emails in MCN?
No, it's not. And it's a good thing, because the whole sending the whole sending platform has been completely revamped so that it can handle an extraordinary amount of email sending, and you switch automatically to dedicated IP once you reach a thread, once you've reached a threshold. So it's best to rely on Marketing Cloud Next because, well, this is what you buy. You buy a platform, a sending email platform. Well, at least this is one of the features of the platform. So yeah, definitely, apart from the fact that you cannot, it's best to rely on a professional platform doing this on your behalf.
Thank you. And what is the biggest practical difference between using traditional segmentation and Data 360 insights in campaign planning?
I was just writing. No, I was just writing an answer to that actually. Like, I guess it depends to what you are currently comparing it to. If you're looking at account engagement, out of the box, account engagement can only read lead, contact, opportunity, and account objects for segmentation. You can enable custom objects as well with advanced solutions. But I guess that's the limitation there, that you don't have all the opportunities to segment on every single data point you might find from any other source as well. And if this is a comparison to a marketing cloud engagement, I would argue the similar thing, like this Data 360, like the core feature of Data 360 is to combine your data from all sorts of different sources and being able to make sense of it and unify the data and then build segments out of it, which I would say is not as easy done in MCE alone. And the core functionality of MCE is not that.
Thanks, Claudia. I think we have one last question, which is about the unified customer data. So what are the best practices or considerations to follow when we're starting to use the unified customer data?
Well, the best practices, sorry.
No, you go.
Well, the best practice is starting using it. And then you set up the identity resolution, which will generate unified individuals. And from that, you will be able to use unified data, for instance, to display the engagement history on the lead or at the contact level. So this is a two-step thing. You set up the identity resolution, which is starting using unified data, and then you benefit from how the platform handles it for you as it pertains to displaying, for instance, engagement or to create segmentation. But basically, first identity resolution, and then use the identity resolve, the unified individual, as your ingredient.
Thank you, Francois. We have a few more questions come in. Does MC Next require a new IP warming if you are already on a warmed IP subdomain in MCE?
So dedicated IPs for Marketing Cloud Next are only needed if you are sending 5 million emails or more per month. There's a longer explanation to as why, but basically Salesforce has worked to have, better security and better protection where you don't need a dedicated IP with a lower send volume. If you do meet that threshold, the system will automatically warm up your sending IP and send you to a dedicated IP address, and you can view that now in the back end. That's a recent feature. So you really don't have to worry about warming up an IP. Really, you want to just make sure your domain has a safe sender reputation. So if you're using a new domain, you want to make sure, you warm that up a little bit. Also, with the summer release, I believe some features around sharing, sending domains and in SMS, which is a little unrelated, but I'll tell you anyways. But sending domains and SMS between MCE and MCN is coming too. So if that's like a big concern, switching there, sharing that the sending is coming.
That helps. Thank you, Erin. And one last question of the day. Can Data 360 improve campaign decisions even before full data integration is completed?
What
Well,
does
if
it mean? Yeah. Or you know, Francois, what it means, so then you go.
no, I don't. I was just about to say, if you want to use the data, that data needs to be there.
And I mean, campaign decisions, what's meant by improved campaign decisions? That would be my question. Misha, are you here? You want to add some context?
I don't think so. So Amisha, please post in the Slack channel if you have any context to add there. And any questions post this session, please post in the Slack channel so we still have a chance to answer your questions. So with this, we will stop taking the questions. Yeah. And thank you, Francois, Erin, and Claudia for sharing all your insights and all your experience working on the platform matters a lot.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for sharing all the first-hand information. I'm going to stop the recording now.